Alaric I was the first king of the Visigoths, ruling from 395 to 410 AD. He was born around 370 and grew up near the Danube River in what is now Romania. He came from a noble Gothic family and was raised close to Roman lands. During his childhood, the Goths lived as allies of the Roman Empire in the Balkans. They had moved there after fighting both the Huns and the Romans, and had agreed to supply soldiers to Rome in return for land and peace. Alaric started his career under a Gothic commander named Gaius and later joined the Roman army. He fought bravely for the Roman Emperor Theodosius against enemies like the Franks. But after the battles, he felt ignored and disappointed by Rome's lack of reward. When Theodosius died in 395, the Roman army began to fall apart, and Alaric became the leader of the Visigoths. He wanted recognition from Rome as a legitimate ruler, but the empire never fully accepted him. For the rest of his life, Alaric led campaigns mostly against the Western Roman Empire. He invaded Italy, and in 410, his army famously captured and looted the city of Rome, a shocking event that symbolized the empire's decline. Alaric died later that same year while still in Italy, leaving behind a powerful legacy as the man who brought the ancient city of Rome to its knees. After the Treaty of 382, many Goths began to rise in Roman society, earning noble ranks through their service in the army. Alaric started his military career under a Gothic commander named Gaius, and later joined the Roman army. He first appeared as the leader of a mixed group of Goths and their allies who invaded Thrace in 391, but they were stopped by the Roman general Stilicho. Despite Roman writers mocking him, Alaric was strong enough to keep the Roman Emperor Theodosius from crossing the Hebrus River. By 392, Alaric was officially serving in the Roman army, and the relationship between Goths and Romans improved. In 394, he led Gothic soldiers in battle for Emperor Theodosius against the rebel Arbogast at the Battle of the Frigidus. The Goths suffered terrible losses, with around 10,000 men killed due to Theodosius's harsh tactics. Even though Alaric fought bravely, he received no reward or promotion. Angry and disappointed, he rebelled and began marching toward Constantinople. When Theodosius died in 395, the empire was left to his two young sons, Arcadius and Honorius, under Stilicho's control. Around this time, Alaric became the recognized king of the Visigoths and encouraged his people to seek their own kingdom instead of living under Roman rule. After Theodosius's death, the Roman Empire split again into eastern and western parts. Stilicho tried to control both sides, while Alaric led his people independently, but still sought some form of Roman recognition. He needed Roman supplies to keep his people alive, so he continued to deal with both sides of the empire. Alaric led his forces through Greece, sacking cities like Athens around 396, and moved across the Peloponnese until Stilicho's army forced him north into Epirus. Both sides caused destruction, and eventually Alaric escaped with his loot. Soon after, Alaric was appointed military commander of Illyricum by the Eastern government, which gave him the right to receive gold and grain for his army. This temporarily brought peace between the Goths and the Eastern Romans. However, power struggles in Constantinople changed everything again. When Eutropius, the emperor's powerful advisor, lost his position in 399, the new rulers no longer needed Alaric. They handed his territory over to the Western Empire, taking away his title and supplies. As a result, Alaric and his army, now the strongest force left in the Balkans, became a serious problem for Stilicho and the West. Around the spring of 402, Alaric decided to invade Italy, though historians are unsure why. He may have been desperate for food and supplies. His army crossed the Alps near Aquileia and attacked towns in northern Italy. The Roman general Stilicho met him in battle twice. The first fight took place at Pollentia on Easter Sunday, where Stilicho defeated Alaric, captured his family, and took much of his treasure. Alaric escaped, but was defeated again at Verona. Stilicho, however, chose not to destroy him and allowed him to withdraw. Many believe Stilicho did this because he wanted to use Alaric as an ally in his political struggles with the Eastern Empire. Afterward, Alaric stayed in the Balkans, waiting for a better opportunity to act. In 405, new barbarian groups led by Radagaisus invaded northern Italy. Stilicho managed to defeat them near Florence by surrounding and starving them. During this time, Alaric was officially recognized as a Roman general in charge of Illyricum and received gold and supplies for his troops. But as power in Constantinople shifted, Alaric's position weakened, and by 407 he again turned toward Italy. He demanded 4,000 pounds of gold from the Roman Senate to avoid another invasion. Although the Senate protested, Stilicho paid the money to keep peace. This decision, along with earlier ones that spared Alaric, made Stilicho's enemies accuse him of betrayal and weakened his standing at court. In 408, Emperor Arcadius of the East died, and Stilicho planned to march to Constantinople to influence the succession. However, before he could act, a coup led by the Emperor Honorius's advisor, Olympius, destroyed his power. Stilicho was betrayed and killed. Afterward, Roman soldiers massacred the families of barbarian troops who had served under Stilicho. Thousands of these soldiers fled and joined Alaric, who now commanded a large, angry army. With no real Roman defense left, Alaric became a major threat once again. Declared an enemy of the emperor, Alaric lost any hope of legitimacy or Roman support. He offered peace, asking to move his people to new lands in exchange for money and a small official title, but the new government refused. Enraged, Alaric led about 30,000 men into Italy in 408, marching toward Rome. He surrounded the city and cut off its food supply, starving the population into surrender. Rather than fighting, he demanded a huge ransom of gold, silver, silk, and spices, which the Romans reluctantly paid. He also freed tens of thousands of Gothic slaves who joined his ranks. This ended his first siege of Rome. Negotiations with Emperor Honorius soon broke down again. Alaric wanted a high position in the Roman army, but Honorius refused. In response, Alaric besieged Rome for a second time in 409 and appointed a Roman senator, Priscus Attalus, as a rival emperor. Attalus, however, proved weak and ignored Alaric's advice. When his forces lost control of the grain supply from Africa, famine worsened. Alaric marched with Attalus to Ravenna to pressure Honorius, but Honorius refused all offers once reinforcements arrived from the east. Realizing that Attalus was useless, Alaric deposed him and tried again to make peace with the emperor, a peace that would never come. Negotiations between Alaric and Emperor Honorius might have succeeded if not for an attack by Sarus, a Gothic commander who was a long-time enemy of Alaric. Sarus suddenly attacked Alaric's men, and Alaric took this as a betrayal by Honorius. Furious, he abandoned peace talks and marched on Rome once more. On August 24, 410, his army entered the city and began the famous sack of Rome, which lasted 3 days. The event shocked the world. In Ravenna, Honorius panicked when he heard the news, but calmed down after realizing it was not his pet bird named Roma that had died, but the actual city of Rome. Writers of the time, like Saint Jerome, describe the fall as the end of the world's greatest city. Although the sack was brutal, Alaric showed moments of restraint. He ordered his men not to harm anyone who took refuge in a church, and sacred items stolen from St. Peter's Basilica were returned. Some historians suggest that Alaric's goal was not simply to steal gold, but to secure food and supplies for his starving army. Still, the damage was enormous, and much of the city's ancient wealth was lost. The fall of Rome shocked the empire, but did not immediately destroy it. For Alaric, however, it was a failure. His dream of earning a legitimate position in the Roman system was gone forever. Despite all his victories, he remained an outsider. The sack of Rome solved nothing, and his people were still homeless and uncertain about their future. After leaving Rome, Alaric moved south through Italy, planning to sail to Sicily to find food and supplies. A storm destroyed his fleet, and not long after, he became sick and died near the city of Consentia in southern Italy in 411. According to legend, his followers buried him under the bed of the Busento River along with treasures taken from Rome. They diverted the river to dig the grave, buried their king, and then killed the workers to keep the burial site secret forever. After Alaric's death, leadership passed to his brother-in-law, Ataulf. He later married Honorius's sister, Galla Placidia, and led the Goths to settle in Gaul and eventually in Aquitaine, where they founded the first independent barbarian kingdom within the Roman Empire. This marked a turning point in European history. After the time of Alaric, many other Germanic peoples, such as the Vandals, Burgundians, and Franks, established their own kingdoms across the western provinces, signaling the final transformation of the Western Roman world.